Metal spheres. At midnight approximately, on July 31st, 2022, locals in the Veracruz area of Mexico witnessed an unbelievable spectacle. A strange object plummeted from the sky, accompanied by a sound but no fire, and landed on a tree. Closer inspection found the mysterious object to be a near-perfect sphere. The orb had no holes or obvious ways to access its contents and was reported to have an antenna. Many speculated that the object was of alien origin. It also featured a strange but indecipherable code written on its exterior, which some suspected may contain the key to opening it, while others believed that the orb would reveal its secrets in its own time. A local TV meteorologist named Isidro Cano Luna reported on the mysterious object via social media, releasing photos of the sphere, along with a visual description, a request for the proper military authorities to recover it for study, and a warning to his followers. They should keep their distance at all costs, for fear of potential radiation poisoning. Luna, who consistently posted in alarming capital letters, also described the orb as being composed of, quote, a very hard plastic or an alloy of various metals. Luna's last social media post on the matter stated the device was removed at 3:15 a.m. by highly trained personnel, and that, quote, the object is no longer in the state of Veracruz. He then speculated on how the authorities might try to hide the facts of this incident from the public. It was only after this talk of strange metal spheres had begun to quiet down that some began to draw connections between the incident and a similar case in India. The Indian press had reported earlier in the year that metal spheres of unknown origin had fallen in and around the village of Gujarat, and that one had killed a lamb. Photographs of these, once opened, reveal an apparently fibrous construction. These spheres were described as being 45 centimeters in diameter and weighing 5 or 6 kilograms, approximately matching the description of the sphere found in Mexico. While some have claimed that the orbs which fell on Mexico and India were merely space junk, or part of a failed Chinese spacecraft that fell to Earth, others maintain to this day that the orbs are of otherworldly origin. Fugo. On the morning of May 5th, 1945, 26-year-old Elise Mitchell packed up the chocolate cake she'd baked the previous night and set off for what was supposed to be a sunny picnic with her husband, Reverend Archie Mitchell, and 5 Sunday school children from their small Oregon community. Elise and the children were scouting for a perfect place to have their picnic, while her husband parked the car, when they found a strange object attached to a large deflated balloon that had fallen from the sky some time before. Elise called her husband over, and he barely had time to shout a warning before the object detonated. The 4 boys were killed instantly. Elise and 13-year-old Joan Patsky died minutes later. At the time, the explosion was kept under wraps by military authorities who wished to avoid widespread fear if it became known that the mysterious fallen object was, in fact, a balloon bomb. The bomb was one of a number that had been sent by the Japanese military, an attempt to utilize jet stream weather patterns to deliver devastation to the U.S. These weapons consisted of a hydrogen balloon measuring 33 feet in diameter, which carried payloads such as anti-personnel bombs like the one that killed Elise and the children, or incendiary devices designed to start large forest fires. Initially shrouded in intense secrecy by both the Japanese and U.S. governments, the balloon bombs were named Fugo by the Japanese. Between 1944 and 1945, an estimated 9,000 of them were released, of which around 1,000 completed the 2-day journey to the United States mainland. The balloon bombs used a complicated system of pressure valves and altimeters to detonate charges attached to sandbags that served as ballast any time a balloon fell below 25,000 feet. This kept the balloons aloft in the jet stream, despite changing temperatures throughout the day. After the last sandbag was released, a final charge would drop the balloon's payload once it fell below 10,000 feet. Traveling over 6,000 miles, these balloons were the longest-ranged attacks in the history of warfare at the time. A monument still marks Elise and the children's chosen picnic spot in Oregon. They are the only civilians to be killed by enemy weapons on the United States mainland in the entirety of the Second World War. Tunguska Event. On June 30th, 1908, Siberia experienced an immense explosion that would become known as the Tunguska Event. This event occurred over a sparsely populated area of forest land through which the Tunguska River runs. Releasing enough energy to fell approximately 80 million trees over an area of 830 square miles, modern methods have estimated the explosion to have yielded approximately 12 megatons, one of the largest natural explosions ever recorded. Eyewitnesses described a fireball of blue light, almost as bright as that of the sun, crossing the sky above them while splitting it in two and covering it with fire. The fireball ended with a bang and a mighty crash as the earth trembled. The resulting shockwave flattened forests and broke windows hundreds of miles away. One witness 40 miles away felt the heat of the blast and was blown to the ground. It was many years before scientists could reach this remote part of Siberia, meaning that studies were difficult to carry out, and the true source of the explosion was not understood until an expedition in 1927. Locals interviewed by the scientists were initially reluctant to recall the event, believing that the blast was a punishing visitation by the god Ugdi, the thunder god of Siberian myth. Their descriptions, combined with the unusual radial pattern displayed by the felled trees, led the expedition to conclude that the blast was the result of a meteorite. No impact crater was ever found, however, and modern analysis has led to the generally accepted theory that the explosion was caused by a 120-foot-wide asteroid weighing 220 million pounds that entered the Earth's atmosphere at over 33,500 miles per hour. The rock superheated the air around it to more than 4 times as hot as the surface of the sun, before detonating itself at an altitude 5 miles above the forest. The Tunguska event is believed to be the largest impact event in recorded history, and the anniversary of this incredibly rare phenomenon is still marked by local celebrations each year. Mystery White Box. One fateful day in 1962, deep in the Canadian forests of Lutz Mountain, a woodsman named David McPherson was scouting for timber when he spotted an unusual object suspended from the tree canopy above him. From ground level, the object appeared to be a large white box, which had seemingly fallen from the sky. His curiosity was piqued, and David set about recovering the object. Once it was on the ground, he made a closer inspection, which revealed that it had windows and was attached to a rotting parachute. It also appeared unusually high-tech for the time. After employing a friend's bulldozer to create a path to the location of the strange 400-pound white box, David took the mysterious object back to his home. Some locals and members of the press caught wind of the story, and rumors circulated that opening the box would cause an explosion. When one local made a fearful call to the military describing the box and claiming that it was ticking, it drew the attention of the authorities, who dispatched an investigation team to the McPherson home. The McPherson family initially refused to allow the military to confiscate the box, giving Mrs. McPherson a chance to open it. In the box, she found writing in a foreign alphabet, which she presumed to be Russian, along with 2 cameras, a dozen or so bottles of clear liquids, and a large antenna. When the military eventually returned, they promised to keep the family informed of their investigations and took the box away with them. The promise wasn't kept. The local press did state that the box was a form of a weather balloon, although it was unclear how they arrived at that conclusion, and many, including the McPhersons, remained skeptical. 55 years later, amidst declassified CIA documents, closure was finally found. Details of a once classified operation named Project Genetrix made mentions of secret aerial reconnaissance devices used in the late 1950s. It was reported, to the satisfaction of the surviving McPhersons, that the object was in fact a CIA surveillance device, once mounted on a high-altitude balloon created to photograph the Soviet Union and her many secrets. Flying at altitudes up to 100,000 feet, these devices utilized a new temperature and radiation-resistant film that was so advanced, the Soviets ended up using recovered canisters in their Luna 3 space probe that photographed the far side of the moon. Mystery Moon Rocket. Mysterious objects falling from the sky aren't just limited to planet Earth. In June 2022, NASA released images from its Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter of an unusual object embedded in the surface of the Earth's moon. The mystery object, assumed to be the body of a spent rocket, had been first spotted by astronomers as it hurtled through space, before eventually slamming into the far side of the moon at over 5,000 miles per hour earlier in the year. The impact created a strange double crater impression on the surface of the moon over 90 feet wide. NASA acknowledged the odd shape of the crater, which was not at all typical of those made by previous rocket impacts from the Apollo moon missions. When no space-exploring nations took credit for the rocket, investigations intensified. NASA experts hoped that the unconventional shape of the double crater, which suggests that the rocket had an unusually large mass at either end, would explain the nature of the craft. At first, amateur astronomers thought the mystery rocket could be the spent upper stage of a SpaceX Falcon 9. Further analysis pointed to a rocket booster used in China's Chang'e 5T1 mission to the moon that launched in 2014. That mission sent a test vehicle around the moon in a prelude to future moon surface sample expeditions. China, however, insists that the Chang'e 5T1 booster burned up in Earth's atmosphere and says they have nothing to do with the impact object. To this day, the origins of the mysterious moon rocket remain unknown. Thank you for watching Dark 5. Don't forget to like and subscribe to continue exploring the greatest mysteries of this world and beyond. Your support and engagement helps my videos get seen by even more people. And be sure to let me know what other mysterious objects are worthy of investigation.